War Drum Batreps, the sounds of war.
Hi guys, welcome to War Drum Batreps. And what follows is a little taster, a mini kind of battle report, just to give you an idea of how I'm going to film on the channel and give you a kind of taste for what I'm going to be like on camera. Um, Bear with me, I was very nervous when I did it. I've made a few mistakes. I'll point out beforehand that I did pull out two twists using the open war deck, as it said on the card. I completely forgot one, and the other one didn't really come into play. I pulled Null Zone, and then completely forgot when I was doing the psychic test. And by the time I'd realised, I'd done two psychic phases, and I completely forgot. My apologies, but bear with it. It was quite fun to film. It's the first time I've done anything like that, so bear with it. I hope to get better and smoother as it goes on. And most of all, welcome, enjoy, and I hope it goes really well. Thanks, guys, and I hope you enjoy. This is the battlefield that faces us today. The scenario for today's mission is the cards came out like this. Came out with that deployment, the prize. So it's an objective marker at the center of the battlefield. The objective marker can be carried. We're going to make it the power core from a Warhound Titan. I'm not sure how easy that would be carried, but hey, it makes pretty terrain. We got the twist to draw two more twist cards. So we got Last Stand. Unit automatically passes morale tests, and Null Zone subtract 2 from psychic tests. Cannot reroll any dice when taking psychic tests. As I said, this is the battlefield as it stands. So we figured the Warhound Titan would make a good centerpiece. So as it can be carried, we'll make it the power source. The guys can grab a hold of it and take it back to wherever, and whoever has it at the end wins. Let's meet the armies for today's battle report. So on this side we have 1,000 points. It's 990 actually. So we've got 2 units of Death Shroud Terminators. We've got a unit of Plague Marines, a Malignant Plaguecaster, and Mortarion himself. Mortarion will be using the Psychic powers Plague Wind and Miasma Pestilence, and the Malignant Plaguecaster will have Gift of Contagion and Protestant Vitality. And on the other side, vying to get the power core from the Warhound Titan, is a detachment of a patrol detachment of Katachan Guardsmen, with a Lehman Russ Tank Commander and another Lehman Russ Executioner. The Tank Commander has a Vanquisher Cannon, 2 sides the sponsons with plasma cannons, and a hull-mounted las cannon. The Executioner has the Executioner Cannon, 2 plasma cannons, and the las cannon on the hull. We've got a squad of infantry with a las cannon heavy weapon, and we've got a Freeblade Knight. The Freeblade burdens and qualities are, for the quality, Legendary Hero, and for the burden, Weary Machine Spirit. Legendary Hero is once per battle round. You can reroll a single hit, wound, damage, charge, or saving throw for this Freeblade. And Weary Machine Spirit is, and this burden applies half the number of wounds this Bleed has for the remaining purposes of determining what characteristics uses on their damage table. So for the purposes of this battle report, the Imperial Guard will be using purple dice, and the Plague Marines will be using, Death Guard will be using yellow dice. So here is Death Guard throw. Not the Death Guard throw, the Imperial Guard throw. And here's the Death Guard throw. So Death Guard, get to go first. Okay. Right. So now we've met the armies, and without further ado, we should get up to deployment, and we should get into turn 1. So there we go. We've got deployment on the field. We've got Mortarion and a squad of Plague Marines and Malignant Plaguecaster on the left side. On the right hand side, you can see we've got one squad of the Death Shroud Terminators. The other ones are hiding in the building just at the bottom of the right hand of the screen there. In the centre, we've got the Knight Freeblade. We've got one Lehman Russ, and we'll get to the handy swoop cam and go and have a look at where the others are hiding. So as we pan around here, we can see that unit of death shrouds that were hiding behind the building. I'll swoop over here, and that's the other Lehman Russ over there. And we've got our guardsmen hiding in there. And over there, in that building there, is a malignant plate caster. So without further ado, we will go to turn 1. So that's where the Death Guard sit after our turn 1 movement. Now we'll get to the Psychic phase. I should have stated in the Introduction Armies section that Mortarion is the Warlord today, and he is using the Shamble Raw Warlord trait. So Mortarion in the Psychic phase will cast Plague Wind on the Imperial Guard squad, and he will cast Smite on the Lehman Russ Vanquisher. So we'll start with Smite. It's a super smite straight off the bat. Handy for Mortarion. So that will be D6 damage to the Lehman Russ. 2. Now to cast Plague Wind on these poor unwitting guardsmen. So warp charge value of 6, so it is manifested. And now to roll all those tasty dice. 9 dice, and on any 6s it's a mortal wound. Not a single 6. Oh well. The Malignant Plaguecaster, as it turns out, is slightly closer to the Imperial Guardsman than he is to the Knight, so he will be casting Smite at those Guardsmen as well. He gets it with a 6, and that'll be D3. So that'll be a big 3. So he'll lose 3 guys. So we'll just go for these 3 guys at the back here. He will also cast Gifted Contagion onto that guard squad there. That has a warp charge value of 6. So, oh no, wait, warp charge value of 5, so that is cast. So that unit, until the start of the next Psychic phase, has to subtract 1 from its strength characteristics. So yeah, they're even less strong than they were. Oh well, it's not going well for the guardsmen. And now we will go to our shooting phase and see if things can go any better for the guardsmen in the saving department. It might be a quick battle report. I should also mention that I'm not really doing much with stratagems today because I don't have a lot of CP in either way, so I'll probably just be using them for rerolls. The guard have got 3, and the Death Guard have now got 2 since the first command phase. They started with 1, they now have 2, so they've been mainly used for rerolls. The Plague Marines of the Death Guard are just out with rapid fire range, so they are getting 5 shots, hitting on 3s. So we get 2 hits there. They will be also wounding on 3s. So that's 1 wound. The guardsman will save on a 6 up. They say it anyway. I think it might have been a 5 up because of cover, but yeah. So 6 up, they're all good. So drawing a line for the lantern in the shooting phase, it passes through the guard squad and onto the knight. So I have to make a roll for each. So roll for the guardsman, it's a hit. A roll for the knight, it is a fail. So I'm going to use one of those CPs I was talking about to re-roll that one. It is a hit. So against the guardsman, it will wound on a 2 because it's strength 8 to toughness 3. So that's a wound. So 3 damage. So there is a further man from the squad. And now against the knight, so it's strength 8, toughness 8, wounded on a 4. It is a wound, it is -3. So the knight will get its 5 up invul, which it passes like a boss. So it's all good. No damage from lantern. Yeah, they're doing well in the saves this time around. Second phase about Willie, they're tanking it in the shooting phase. The Death Shroud Terminators, they have got their pistols. The only thing in range of both of the squads are the Lehman Russes. So they're going to take some pot shots and see if they can plink off some wounds. So the first unit, D6 shots each, so 3d6 shots. They get 9 shots. 9 shots, hitting on 3s. So 4 hits. Wounding on 6s. So get 1. No minus, so looking at a 3 up. And a save again. The other squad of Death Shroud Terminators shooting at the other Lehman Russ. 3d6 shots, they get 9. A little bit of consistency with rolling 9 there for shots. So hitting on 3s again. So a few more 6s. But that would have been useful in the thingy. So it was hitting on 3s. So 7 hits. Wounded on 6s. That's 2 wounds. And saving on 3s for the guard. Save both. That's fine. Again, the guards have taken very, 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 very little damage in the shooting phase. So that is everything that has shot for the Death Guard. It's not been a good shooting phase for them. They've done little or no damage. I think they took 1 guardsman out, and that was about it. So now to charges. Now this Death Shroud squad are 9 inches away from that Lehman Russ, so they're going to attempt that charge. This squad are a full 12 away from that, so we'll do this one first. So we're going to suggest that the Astra Militarum would not waste a Overwatch on a 12-inch charge, just in the off chance that it's a failure. And they'd be correct. So that's a failed charge. However, this one, they will spend their CP on Overwatch. So we will roll the charge to see if the charge goes off, and then we'll resolve Overwatch once we know whether they're in or not. So they are not in, but they still get shot at. To resolve an Overwatch, we will go with the sponsons. So 2d3 shots for the sponsons. Use a Catachan roll to re-roll that. Same result. So we've got 3 shots. Hitting on 3s. Hitting on 6s because it's Overwatch actually. So 1-6. Wounding on 3s. It's a wound. The Death Shroud Terminators have a 4 up invulnerable save, which they will take now. And they also pass it. No one's going to die in the shooting or charging phase. I have a feeling. We will now go around to Mortarion charging the back of the other Leman Russ. No, we won't, because we have other guns to fire. I forgot. So we've got the top gun on the Leman Russ firing for 3 shots. Hitting on 6s. Gets 1. It is a wound. We shall roll for the 4-up invul. It's got a 4-up invul. Passes. See? Now the last cannon. The last cannon fails to hit. So now it's to Mortarion. Mortarion needs a 4 to get in. So we will roll. See if he gets in. He gets in on a 7. So we'll move him in. Slicey time. So Mortarion has 7 attacks. With silence, we're going to use the Eviscerate and Blow profile. So that is hitting on 2s. It's a couple of 1s. So it's 5 hits. It's strength 16, -4, and D3 plus 3 damage. So these are wounding on 2s. Rerolling 1s because it's a plague weapon. So reroll those 1s. So that is 5 wounds. So we're back for the saves for the Leman Russ. Does not look promising. As I said, it does not look promising. I forgot. It's -4. That is one very dead guard tank. But we'll roll to see how much damage it actually does. So that is 10, which would be enough to go. Plus the other +3s on each of the hits. Yeah, it'd be a lot. In fact, it was 5, wasn't it? It's even more. Yeah, so that's a very dead guard tank. Does it explode? It does not. So the warlord is slain. Goodbye. Mortarion has a little chuckle to himself. Wahahaha. So after turn 1 for the Death Guard, things are looking pretty bleak for the Imperial Guard, who have lost their warlord. They did alright in the shooting phase, but Mortarion sliced and diced that Leman Russ warlord without breaking too much of a sweat. So we'll come back for turn 1 for the Imperial Guard. So we go for turn 1 movement for the Imperial Guard. And that's pretty much where we're going to end up with the guard. Not too much movement, but they've only got 3 units left. So we'll see how it goes for them in their shooting back. So here we go with the Imperial Knight Freeblades. The Warden is going to fire his Flamer into the Malignant Plaguecaster and his Avenger Gatling Cannon into the Plague Marines. He was very tempted to try and, take a lot of shots at Morty. However, it'll make it very hard for the Death Guard to capture the center with only 2 squads of Death Shroud Terminators moving at 4 inches a turn. So hopefully this is the right play for the Imperial Guard squads. So we have D6 Flamer shots at 6 into the Malignant Plaguecaster. So it'll be strength 5 versus toughness 4. So with 3s, that is 4 wounds at -1. Oops, I used the yellow dice. Forgive me. So 4 wounds, -1 on the Lightning Plague Caster. Which I'm pretty sure is 4 up either way. He saves all of them. Wow, what a boss. He just likes dancing in the fire, huh? Rah. So now with the correct dice, he is going to rattle his Avenger Gatling Cannon into the Plague Marines. He's also going to stick a stubber in there as well, if this fails. So hitting on 3s, that's a reasonable amount of misses. It's strength 6 against toughness 4, 5. Toughness 5. So still 3s. Couple fails there. So we've got 5 at -2. So that is 3 fails. So yeah, that's 3 failed saves. So 3 go through. Because of Disgustingly Resilient, it's -1 damage. So in the end, that's 3 damage. So that is 1 full Marine going bleh, and 1 Marine being on a wound. Strength 4 versus toughness 5. So wounded on 5s. So that's 2. No minus. So just 3 ups. They save both. So no awe-inspiring shooting from the knight there. So we will now proceed to the Leman Russ down the other end and see how he gets on. May he fire better. So the Leman Russ is going to fire his top gun because of granting advance. He's going to fire it twice into this squad here, and everything else is going to go into the other Death Shroud squad. So we'll go 2d6 shots into the first squad. We'll keep that, no need for the Catachan reroll, so that's 10 shots. 10 shots, hitting on 4s. That's not too bad. So, again, not overcharging. So it's strength 7, toughness 5, so 3s. 2 fails there, so that's 3. Let's see if the Death Shroud can shrug it on their 4-up invulns. They shrug 2, so 1 damage through, so 1 takes a wound. Now everything else going on to the other squads. So we will start with the sponsons. We'll use the Catachan reroll on that. Every time. So that's 3 shots. 3 shots, hitting on 4s. We get 1. Again, not overcharged. Overcharged. It wins. Is it save? No, it goes through. So again, 1 more damage on to one of these guys. And the las cannon. Las cannon hits. Las cannon fails to wound. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. The guard squad under here are going to fire everything over into the Plague Marines. So starting with the las guns. So 2 hits. No, 1 hit. 1 wound. Save. A save. The las cannon hits. Las cannon wounds. And it's a save. I don't roll like this normally. This is abnormal. I should play against myself more often. The shooting phase for the Imperial Guard and the Imperial Knight didn't go really well. They managed to put a couple of wounds onto the Death Shroud Terminators, and they managed to take out 1 single Plague Marine and wound another. It could have gone better. Now we're going to go to the charge phase and see if the Imperial Knight can get in, because it's the only really valid charge.
We'll see who he gets into, either the Malignant Plaguecaster or the Plague Marines, or both, if the fancy takes him.
So yeah, he's going to attempt to charge both of them. He needs 7 inches to get in between them, so we'll see if he can do it. He fails, but I think it would be beneficial to use a CP at this point to reroll both these dice. And he fails again. Oh dear, it has really not gone well. Oh dear. We will return for Battle Round 2 and Turn 2 for the Death Guards. Well, after the relatively breezy experience of a Astra Militarum turn 1, the Death Guard are looking to be in a fairly strong position. So we will proceed with their turn 1. So that's them in the command phase. They'll get another CP. That'll put them up to 2 again. And we will see where they end up after this turn.
Oh no, that charge phase. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. A filler of a 7-inch charge twice. Same result both times. That did not go well for the Imperial Guard that turn. Turn 2 for the Death Guard at almost full strength. We'll see if they can pull it back. I'm not sure that they can. So we will proceed with movement on turn 2 for the Death Guard. So that is movement done for Death Guard turn 2. And we will see what happens in this psychic phase.
We will go with Mortarion, and we will go with Smite. He fails to get Smite off, but I believe he really wants it. So let us re-roll that with a CP. He gets it. So he gets 3 mortal wounds onto the knight. Go. He will now cast Miasma of Pestilence on himself, a warp charge value of 6. He gets it. He will now be -1 to hit until the next psychic phase. We will now move on to the Malignant Plaguecaster. Malignant Plaguecaster will also use Smite, needing a 6 this time. It's a Super Smite against the Knight. See if we can make a third 6 in a row. It's a 4. So the Knight has taken 7 damage. I realised that I said there was null zone at the start of the game, and I've completely negated that for 2 whole psychic phases. I believe we've gone too far to retcon it, so we will just keep it as just having last stand, where units automatically pass morale, because, well, it's my first battle report, and it was a bit silly, but and there's no one here to remind me, and I'm a bit nervous, so we will just keep it as the last stand, and we'll take it from there. So at the end of that brutal psychic phase, the knight has taken 7 wounds, and it's looking all shiny for the Death Guard. We will see what we can do in the Death Guard shooting phase, but if it goes anything like the last one and the psychic phase, it's going to be quite nasty. We'll wait and see what happens. Mortarion will hold Lantern up and he will fire it in the general direction of the knight and see if he can wound it. He hits it. It's strength 8 versus toughness 8. So it is a 4 we are looking for here. It is a 6. That dice needs to get checked. No, it's not broken. It's fine. So that will be minus 3 damage. Can the knight shrug this off? He cannot. He will take 3 more damage, taking him up to 10 damage. He has 14 wounds remaining. It's looking quite dicey. We will continue with the rest of the shooting in a moment. The Plague Marines will shoot through, with only 3 of them being able to really see the guard and obscured at that. They will minus 1 to hit. So 3 of them shooting, and only 1 hit. And it is a wound. Can we get a little savey? It is a save. We're all good. So we will go over to the other side for the Death Shroud Terminators, having some pot shots at the Leman Russ. So yeah, Death Shroud Terminator Squad 1 will shoot their pistols at the Leman Russ for 11 shots. 11 shots. Hitting on 3s. 2 misses. Now wounding on 6s. So that's 3 wounds with no minus. So 3 up save. So the save all. Okay, so we'll go on to Death Shroud Terminator Squad 2. We'll go 3d3 shots for these guys as well. Getting 9. Needing 3s. So 1 miss. And now needing 6s. Not a 1. Ah well, pot shots didn't work out too well. We will return for the charge phase. Well, I think we'll get the boring charge out of the way first, and the one where no Overwatch will be fired, because that will be reserved for over here, I would imagine. So the Death Shroud Terminators are going to charge in. So we have a little squad here that is about 6 inches away. Yeah, we'll double check. Yeah, roughly about 6 inches. So we'll roll for them. See if they make it in. They do indeed make it in with a 10. So we will scuttle through here and try and get most of them into combat. Just put him there. And the other squad can't really fail, but we will roll for them as well. They got a 3, so they're in, but not very far in. Go with that and put him around the other side. Spiky things. And let's see how they get on in combat. So after piling in, everyone can have a little bit of a stabby stab at the tank. There are a lot of dice to roll, so I am going to do these all at the same time, but I'm going to roll them off camera because my hand is not big enough to hold all those dice at once. Also, I should mention that we are going to use the cleave profile of the Man Reapers, and we will see you after I have rolled. That is the result of the initial hit roll. So a few that missed, and we will see you for the wounds. Strength 7 against toughness 8, so it was wounded on 5s. So there are a fair few that did not do anything, but again, there are still quite a few that went through. So totaled out at 9 wounds at -3. I think I can about handle 9 dice in my hand. -3, so needing 6 ups. So there is 2 saves, so 7 that go through, and that is 2 damage each, so that's 14 damage. That is enough to take the Lehman Russ. Now, does the Lehman Russ explode? It does not. So that is another casualty for the guard. And chuckly Death Shroud Terminators, if they chuckle. I'm not sure they do. And now for the big charge. Well, it's not a very big charge, but it's an important charge. There will be Overwatch, but I will do the charge roll now to see if we actually get in. He does get in. So we will have the big knight fire some Overwatch at Mortarion and see what happens. We will start with the Flamer because it's automatic hitting, so how many? 2. That will be wounding on 5s. It gets 1, -1. Mortarion fails to save it, so he takes a wound. We'll go with the Stubbers next. Hit on 6s, so nothing from the Stubbers. And then we will go for 12 shots from the Adventure Gatling Cannon. Getting 1, strength 6, toughness 8, so 5s. Fails to wound. So Mortarion moves in for what could be a big kill. So Mortarion gets 7 attacks, hitting on 2s. So he fails that one, but no, we'll save the CP just in case we need it. So this will be strength 16 versus toughness. Let me verify that. I think it's strength 16. It is indeed strength 16 versus toughness 8. So these are wounding on 2s, rerolling 1s because it's a plague weapon. They all go through. It's -4. So the knight doesn't have an invul in close range, so they all go through. And that is a minimum, because of the +3, of 18 damage. So it cannot possibly survive it, but we will roll and see how much damage Mortarion actually does. So these are D3 plus 3. So that is 6, 11, 17, 22, 27, 30 damage. 30 damage. Does the knight explode? It does not. And it falls over and becomes a victim of Mortarion. Blah. Good night, sweet prince. Good night. At that point, I believe any opponent would be happy to call a concession, having 1 squad of guard left against the entire complement of what actually came to the field. Sans 1 Plague Marine. Even the bravest of guardsmen from the Death World of Catachan would be happy to realise it's not going to end well. So yeah, and so endeth the battle. It was brutal. Some key saves and a lot of good charges. The charging was key for the Death Guard. It has not gone well for the Imperial Guard. The objective didn't really come into play because the Death Guard were quite happy to run over the top of the Imperial Guard, and it didn't go well. Yeah, so
it ends in a brutal, brutal slaughter for the Death Guard, destroying the forces of the Emperor. So yeah, that was the first mini sort of mock-up Batrep starring myself and myself. I just thought I'd give it a go, see if you guys like how I'm planning on doing the battle reports. They won't be filmed in this location, they'll be filmed in another one. But hopefully that gives you a taster of what sort of thing we can offer. I know I forgot a few bits and bobs. I was slightly nervous and a bit flustered, but I'm kind of hoping you guys can forgive that and find it mildly entertaining. It was fun to film, and I look forward to having guests and people on to kind of like play along with, and hopefully they can remind me of the things that I forgot, like the null zone, forgetting the -2 to the psychic powers, and a few bits and bobs. But in general, I feel like it went well, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you on the first full bat rep. And if you guys are super patient with me, it shouldn't be too much longer. Thank you very much for tuning in, giving it a watch. If it's made you enjoy it and you've had fun, could you give us a like? Maybe even give us a share with your friends, and most importantly, can you give us a little subscribe, because it goes a long way. And thank you very much. I'm looking to grow the channel as big as I can get it, and I hope to have some interesting guests, friends wise, in the coming months. All right, thank you very much. You guys have been awesome. I've been Wardrum Batreps, and this has been fun. And guys, keep on wargaming and stay safe.